alternate that for a monument sign. And I think we presented that and submitted our new renderings for the monument sign for that. That does not change the fact that the building sign is still exceeding, excuse me?
I
Hello?
think you're good, Victor. I think it went blank for a second.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, sorry. I thought there was a question.
No, you're good. It had a
That,
hiccup when you were talking.
okay. All right, no problem. That does not, we did the monument sign, but we're still requiring a variance for the building sign because it exceeds the square footage required. And as for the parking variance, we did our math and submitted a documentation of what these stores are requiring compared to local areas, compared to their loads at peak hours, feasibility of the site location itself, combination of where it lives, what the ask has been from the planning board. And we just, I think it relates to my next summary that I was going to go over, because some of the concerns that the public voiced was related, not necessarily related to those variances, but they were related to the site plan that kind of factors in here. And we had some concerns that were voiced during the planning board meeting that we kind of didn't want to go and contradict ourselves, because the planning board kind of wanted us to have less pavement, even try to tuck it behind the building. We're kind of restricted with the site layout of the site looks a lot larger than what we're able to maneuver with. We have wetlands in one area and a huge setback in the front. So the layout is a little bit restrictive in how we can maneuver things around. But anyways, I wanted to also answer some of those public concerns, because some of them were intermingled. For example, we talked about the lighting. We presented a photometric plan that shows how the lights on the building and the parking will reflect and show. So I'm not sure if you guys are presenting something or looking at the sketches that we shared. That photometric plan shows foot candles of how much the light will be at each one of those spots. And as you can look at the property edges, all these numbers near to zero, which means there's no spillway past the property line. The other item that the public, a lot of the concerns were related to traffic and maneuverability. And the exhibit itself that shows our site plan shows the truck route, how it does all the maneuverability inside the site and nothing that happens in the street. So I just wanted to bring that to attention. And lastly, one of the items that we're looking at here for the parking reduction is, adding obviously more stormwater storage, and again, limitations of the site kind of prohibits that. This is a quick summary, and I don't know if I rambled a lot going back and forth between all the variances. I'm more than happy to answer one specific at a time with questions. But just as a quick summary and a reminder, we're here tonight to just ask for a vote for approval or denial on these 5 variances. And like I said, I'm more than happy to answer any of those specific questions on any of the items.
We've decided, or it's been kind of, you decided or whatever with this monument sign. And according to the calculations and stuff like that, you won't need a variance for the monument sign. Okay, because,
Correct.
right, so that
Correct.
one,
I think the variance that remains was for the building sign.
right, for the wall sign, yeah, because I think
Correct.
we got this right. It's the building. Maximum of 10,000, you were 10,640. And then there's the,
Correct.
then you needed 63.8 spaces of parking or 64. You're proposing 35.
Correct.
4 loading areas is required, and there's enough room for 2. So you're looking for a variance for 2. And then there's
Correct.
a wall sign on the front of the building.
Correct.
Okay, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so as long as we're on the same page, okay?
Yeah. The fifth was the pylon sign size of it, like you said, but since we switched it to the monument, that falls off.
Yep, everybody, I think everybody was in the general consensus that a monument sign would be better. Okay,
Right.
um. I have, and I don't know if you did see the doing.
I have an extra that they can
Right.
pass around if they
Um,
want to take a peek at it.
What he's got is, a chart here of parking spots and days of time, like it'll start at 10 a.m., 12:30 p.m. to
Is that
6
online?
p.m.
Because I looked at it.
You're, talk,
Okay, yeah.
you're talking about the operating hours?
Well, yeah, I was looking at the sheets that were put out for the amount of cars and what time they were there.
Yeah, so the research is done at peak holiday hours just to see what is the maximum that, something like a Christmas or right before Thanksgiving when everybody forgot everything and they just want to make sure they get it. So all those researchers are made at peak holiday to try to make the most of it. If we get that worst rush that could potentially the store can see, that's what it would look like. And I think the letter included in there shows that max was 15 vehicles.
Yep.
And I think we're providing 35, so it's a little over double.
Right, yeah, everything I see, the max that I saw was 10.
Say that one more time.
Now, the max that I saw on the sheets that you have here, the maximum cars in the parking lot at any given time was 10.
Right. Those were local stores that we did research
Yep.
on.
Yep.
Besides the general one that Dollar General does a count on.
Right.
And if I could also add, this is Kirk Farrelly. I work on these parking variances throughout the country for Dollar General. And in fact, I submitted one yesterday for a project in Colorado. Whenever I look at aerials, they're all similar to what we found for New York as far as utilization of cars and number of cars in the parking lot. So
The maximum 10.
You, Kirk, yeah. Kirk, if you can speak up just a little bit too.
oh, sure. Sorry about that. You want me to restate? Okay. Yes, Chairman, I work on parking variances throughout the country for Dollar General. And in fact, I submitted one in Colorado yesterday. And when I looked at nearby aerials for that project, it was similar to the aerials that we submitted in New York as far as car usage at any given time.
Just making sure because it went quiet a little bit that there were no questions or just making sure that I'm still in the meeting.
I can hear you, Victor.
Yes, we can hear you. Yep, they were actually looking over through the documents right now.
Okay, just a second.
75%.
No, and if you look at all the stores that are in our area, I mean,
Yeah.
volume of 30, I mean,
And
it's not. How was the calculation for 64?
according to our code, you need 6 parking spots for every 1,000 square feet.
Okay,
And so for a maximum building of 10,000 square feet, you need 60, but here they're
they're slightly
Right.
over, yeah,
less than 7%.
Right.
Okay, the width of the building, it adds another 8 feet onto the building is all. Okay, so with that calculated. I had it right here someplace, but anyways, yeah, so they're proposing 35 spaces. And one of the concerns was my concern was the
yeah,
trucks backing in.
and
Okay,
yeah. that's
and
what
he
I'm sure.
showed us on that 3 different things where they can come in and go out. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was the square footage and then it was the parking spots. And then the other one is our code says, excuse me, our code says for loading docks, 15 by 50 or 12 by 38. Okay, so tractor trailer is over 50, but still nonetheless, and if this is 30 feet wide, so you could put 2 tractor trailers in there, and tractor trailers are only 102 wide. Okay. Under 10 feet, so even if they touched each other, it'd be 20 and there's 10 foot left, so that's why our code says for this size building, it needed 4. Okay, so they're
Right, and they're getting a variant, they want a variance for 2.
for 2. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they were looking for a variance for the 640. They're looking for relief on the 64.
And
The
then the
loading docks,
signage,
and then the signage, according to our signed code, the monument one does not need a variance
right,
because it meets the monument one, according to our code, is 71.20 square feet allowed, and they're 50 square feet,
right,
so they're under that.
but they need it for the sign in the front of the
On
building.
Front of the building,
But there's a lot of space because are we not counting the,
yeah. It pretty much the whole thing. They take the length and the width. They don't count each
Even though they're
one in
not-
the
you're not
space in
counting the
between
space,
it, right,
okay.
yeah. And our code says that it can be a maximum of wrote it down here, 75 feet. Okay, so for the front, we allow 75. They're asking for 120.575 square feet.
Mhm.
Yeah, so if you doubled our 75, it'd be 150 and they're 30 under that. Okay.
Oh, I don't know on the phone. Can you explain this thing here? You're saying the orange is how bright the front sign is gonna be?
No, the whole building.
The whole building? This
Yeah,
is
the
what
lights,
There's a
the
parking lot
lights on
lights
the
there too.
Okay,
side
okay,
and on the front.
got it. And it's not leaving their property line, is what
Right.
this is showing,
Correct.
because you want blue.
Yep, this
Yep.
dark blue
Yep, Got
They
it.
can't see it shining down. Doesn't our code say something about lights have to be domed or something?
Everything, when it gets to the planning board level, will have to be dark sky compliant, which is the National Electric Code. And then they have the option of putting shields on those that will keep, they have to be downcast. And then the shields keep it from spilling out outside the pictures. And those shields are adaptable depending on how much they have to direct.
Yeah. There's no pole lighting in this project, is there? Is
What
there
was the
any?
question again?
We
is
have,
there-
we
is
have
there
3
any
pole lights.
parking Or lights?
There, you can see them here. They're like right dead in the middle of.
Those are
these.
poles?
Yes, sir.
I believe so,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, yeah.
Yes, sir. There's 3 on the first page of the lighting plan. You can see where it says MH. Those are the mounting heights of 20 feet for each of those pole lights.
It must be here. See, mine doesn't show them. But that's all planning board. The light, they control the light. Okay,
We're not looking for any variance.
Right. right,
Okay.
okay. Does anybody in the audience have any more questions? Sure. Okay,
Those we don't-
you have to come up.
they-
And just turn the microphone on. There
Can you hear me okay?
You speak up just a little bit.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Hear that on the mic.
Yep.
Yes.
Katie Rice, 6,000 Parkway, right behind the lot. Thank you all. I am, I shared my general concerns before, but I wanted to put them in context of the New York State Town Law, Section 267B3. I'm positive you all know probably about all that, but I wanted to make our community aware as well as put it on record as well. And I appreciate all the consideration the board is already making. According to this section of New York State Town Law, in order to obtain an area variance, there has to be 5 specific requirements. The local zoning board appeals may only grant an area variance when there is substantial evidence the benefit of the applicant. Substantial evidence that the benefit to the applicant of the variance greatly outweighs any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community. So applying this balancing test, the zoning board must consider these 5 factors, which I will summarize, which I know you all probably know very well. But again, for our committee and for the record, I'm going to give my reasons why I do not think it should be granted. So first, undesirable change. This portion of the law focuses on whether an undesirable change of the character of the neighborhood or creates a detriment to the nearby properties by granting the area variance. We've spoken about the flooding concerns. I do think it goes against our comprehensive plan, a very large corporate chain in our town center surrounded by residential homes, as well as the effects such as ambient lighting, increases in noise from idling trucks, and result from the food waste that might attract vermin or animals and pests and rodents. Environmental considerations as cited by our conservation board already. And allowing a large state building in this size with a corporate chain that again against surrounding residences most certainly does go against our comprehensive plan. And all of my neighbors I spoke to very strongly oppose it. Number 2, feasible alternatives. I'm trying to keep this quick. The portion of the law focuses on whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method other than the area variance. And a quick response to this, they can fit inside our variances, in my opinion, if they want to enter. They definitely can reduce the size. If you do a quick Google search, the average Dollar General size is actually 7,500 square feet. Substantiability is number 30. This portion is in regards to whether the requested area variance is substantial. In my opinion, this is one of the largest buildings in our town, so it does go against our town law, or sorry, our comprehensive plan. I hope it goes against the law, but and it would set a precedent in our town. And again, it's a corporate chain. Number 4, adverse effects. This portion focuses on whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions. I think it's very clear we're worried about the flooding. My neighbor can show pictures that she has brought today pools and a stream through our yards. We just had an inch of rain recently. And second, there was an article in our local news this week that ironically spoke about how Dollar General has plans to close 100 stores in 2025. So to put this large of a building in our town center is a very big risk, in my opinion, with such a large building in our town center. So remember, there are 3 other Dollar Generals in about 5 miles. And then finally, self-created difficulties. This is more about, you know, if you buy the property and then seek clearances, which is less applicable in this case. But I'm glad that Dollar General is thinking very carefully before moving forward. I do wish there was an easy way to share all of our neighbors' negative comments on our community Facebook page, because it is not well supported in our community, in my opinion. So for these reasons, I do feel very strongly it should not be approved.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Catherine Hankins, 2353 Pinnacle Road. So I spoke last time, but I didn't have any of the details. So it was more on process in terms of making sure we knew what those variances were. And sign variances are not a big deal, but the building's square footage, moving from 60 to 35 parking spots, and from 4 bays to 2 bays. Those were put into our zoning code because they made sense. This is the first time we're really having something come in with the new zoning for Hamlet, and commercial. And we should live with our zoning code. So to reinforce, no area variance should be granted if it's a hardship that is created by self-made hardship by a company choosing a spot that really doesn't fit. They don't come and then say, this doesn't fit our goals, so we want you to change the zoning code. We just are getting out of the gate. That zoning code was intended to help existing properties make some changes in their property and realize that our town was built, you know, over 100 years ago, some of those buildings, and that if they wanted to go to commercial, there'd be a lot of variances that would be required. But it was existing buildings, existing property, and now for the first time, we have a company that wants to come in and sort of be forced fit. And I certainly reinforce all of the principles that are in our law, but this business has other places to go. They're picking and choosing a lot and then coming to the town and saying, you have to make these changes so we can come in. There are Dollar Generals that are 1,750 square feet. They're located in malls. We have space on West Henrietta Road. We have vacant properties in our high-tech drive. This property they're coming in to pick this property and then coming to you to say, give us zoning variances. It doesn't meet that criteria of saying, it's an existing owner having to make a change because of environmental issues or changes in the neighborhood. They're coming and saying, we want to move in, and you have to make those changes. It doesn't fit into the law. And not only will it change the neighborhood, it will set a precedent for other companies. And where are we then? And we should really make sure we're honoring and respecting all the work that was done through the comprehensive plan, all the work that followed to have the Hamlet have its first Hamlet mixed use zoning, and live with it. And it's not to in any way talk about Dollar General. That would probably be at the planning board in terms of economic impact. But the zoning board is the first door to make sure that we're protecting the integrity of our town and keeping to the heart of the matter, which is this is our first time trying to really make sure that we start to rejuvenate the Hamlet and have a style and character that keeps with what we intended in the comprehensive plan. So I really would think that it's too bad we got this far. We had lots and lots of meetings. But everyone who knocks on our door certainly is welcome for a review. But many times we have to tell them where they belong in our town because of our zoning code. And that's what the zoning code is all about. We don't have to force fit anybody. Let's just make sure we live by the rules. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments?
This is all about right size development, right? So yes, we're trying to improve the hamlet. It's a good thing. 10,000 square feet is already too big. I want you to imagine, living next door to this development. A lot of the trees are gonna be gone. And, as I understand it, there's only one ingress, and it's the same egress, probably, 2 lanes. So if you can imagine trucks coming in, going to the back of the building and, turning around. So when the trucks are turning around, and I don't know, all hours of the night, I don't know when they're coming, I assume, I don't know, but there's gonna be some kind of. If you can limit that. Okay, so they're coming, their headlights are facing the residents' homes. And then they're beeping, they're beeping up, how that sounds. And then there's the idling of the trucks. And, usually there should be, if this ever happened, they have to turn their trucks off already. I mean, you're letting all that diesel go right straight, right over on that main road. So I want you to imagine it, but even better than that, I think it'd be good if you took a measure of 10,000 square feet and go to that property. And what does 10,000 square feet look like in that property? I don't know what the setback is. So if I went over there today and I saw it is so wet, and my question becomes too, where's all that water going to? I know all about retention. I don't know all about it, but I know some about retention ponds and I know about the wet, the wet basement here, and I know heard about them talk about their wet basements. So where's that water going? Go there now. It's like right in the backyard of the house. It's there now. It's filled with water. So that's got to go somewhere. And I know everything's headed toward the creek. So, so don't just imagine it, measure it and see what that looks like. It's because I think there's no better substitute than actually being on site and making these very, very important decisions. So, yeah, very concerned about the wetlands and the runoff and where that water's going. And, and these 18 trucks. And then Katie talked about the New York State town law, and I want to reiterate that. Does the benefit to the applicant substantially outweigh any detriment to the health and safety and welfare of the residents? And I'm going to say it doesn't outweigh their quality of life. And that's something I really hope that you pay attention to. And essentially, I think what the applicant is doing is trying to put two hands into, it's similar to putting two hands into one glove, and 4 of the fingers are filled with blood. And I just hope that you can do whatever you can to honor and value the residents. Thank you.
I did not plan to say anything, but listening to what everyone is saying, I absolutely agree completely. And I really thank you for serving on the zoning board. It's a difficult position that you're put in, the competing interests. So really thank you for what you're doing all the time. Main points have all been made very well. In their own letter, they checked yes for self-created hardship. I don't know if that was an error, but they checked yes. That was after they checked no for whether their project would adversely affect the neighborhood. So I personally don't understand where they're coming from, except obviously they're a business wanting to make money. And they want to do that, as has been said, without complying with our town laws. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, everything should stop right there. And you have that amazing power as gatekeepers to say, you're not complying with the law. People are not in favor of this. obviously we have some neighbors who live right there, and boy, do I have empathy for them. I don't live anywhere near it. And other people who are very opposed do not live anywhere near it. There are larger issues which cause us to oppose this. So the fact that they don't even comply with the required size of the building, to me, that's as far as it should go. All the other things, sure. Oh, and I'm speaking as a private citizen, not in any other capacity. All the other points are important, but why mitigate something that should not be allowed in our town in the first place if they cannot comply with our laws? So, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for your hard work in serving our town.
I'm Carla Lathrop, 4 Nelson Parkway. I don't live directly behind the proposed site. I'm a little off to the side, and you walk out my back door, you look to the left, and you'll see that building. One of the things I was saying, Gordy had said, including making the point that were made earlier regarding Dollar General coming into our community and asking for variances. Obviously, we do have zoning laws, and they're there for a purpose. And if their model does not fit into what we have already established, such as building size, number of parking spaces, loading areas, some of that stuff, then they're trying to put a square peg into a round hole, essentially. And it does detract from the demeanor of our town, our hamlet. Something else I wanted to note, when Mary was speaking about the drainage of the property, there at it's 5930, is that correct? The greenhouse, the property there, if you do look at Google Earth, if you do look at that, it does show that there is some sort of water, and I'm not talking about the wetlands, I'm talking about, it appears to be some sort of a pond, pooling of some sort back there. The tributary that borders 4 Nelson or 6 Nelson Parkway and 5 Nelson Parkway, and then runs behind Chase's greenhouses. That tributary can be on Google Earth. You can see it. It goes all the way up to Jeffords Road. Rush and probably goes beyond that. Since we're in a valley, everything, the water is flowing downhill. I do realize that Dollar General is talking about putting in all of this engineered water distribution, and I understand how it works now. But I still think it's going to create a problem here in the hamlet. I think it's going to create a problem, not just for the homeowners, but if the town floods again, as it did before in 2013 and subsequent, it's an issue for all of the taxpayers, that we all bear the burden of whatever it costs with the money and the damage that was done to the town hall or any of the other individuals, businesses, or homeowners otherwise that suffered because of the damage created by the water. Brought to my attention at the conservation meeting that in 2013, the then town supervisor asked the state DOT to fix the problem in town as far as that culvert was concerned. And the state DOT said, sorry, it's too expensive. Maybe we should go to the state again and maybe get that problem fixed. Or we try and move in some sort of a business, that's just gonna create more issues for us. Thank you very much for your time that night.
Thank you for your comments.
Chairman Hedrick, in regards to some of the bonding and flooding, for the boards.
Any other comments? I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, Member Fruit.
Aye.
Member Marlowe,
Aye.
Member Gerbino.
Aye.
Chairman Hedrick.
Aye. These are some pictures that they just given me. This is out behind their house. And then there was a pond in their yard. This is out beyond the, what's there? These are,
It's over here.
yeah, this is over here where
Right.
these are the greenhouses, then there's that house and whatever. This is all behind. And True John's. Basically, the variances that are looking for is that our code says 120-10 F2, 10,000 square feet maximum, and they propose 10,640, about 7%. If you take the width of the building and add 8 feet, that gives you the 640. Well, the next one is for indoor retail. Formula requires 6 spaces for every 1,000 square feet. And they've come up with 63.8, call it 64. And they're proposing 35. Okay. And then 120-58 is according to the code, it requires 4 loading dock areas. And they're proposing 2. So there'd be a 50% variance on that. The monument sign requires no variance. Our code allows 75 feet on the monument, and they're at 50. Okay. The wall sign, that allows for that also, I'm sorry, the monument is 71.20 square feet and they're at 50, so that's not an issue. The wall sign is 75 square feet is what is allowed, and they're proposing 120.575. What they're showing is this whole thing would be at in the front of the building. You all have encumbers on. This wall sign out front, it's not backlit, is it? Is he still here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on here.
Yeah. The wall sign on the front of the building, that's not backlit, is it?
It's interior lighting inside the letters,
Okay.
but not the whole thing. If you notice how the sign kind of looks like, it's got so the area of it is kind of not, just the area of the letters, I guess, technically, rather than just the area of a complete block or whatever.
Right.
The letters inside of them just backlit internally.
That's why I know that this is, you said it's 120, but technically there's no white box around it. It's the M, the A, the R, the K, the E, the T. So
Right.
that's where
Correct, and that's what I was gonna say is the area is based on rectangular dimensions, but the area of the letters is much, much less.
much smaller. So
Correct.
even though, you know, it looks like it's such a big
Yeah.
variance, it's really not.
Yeah, because here's 25.
Right, so it'd be 25 and then it would be the M,
Right.
the A, it's not the whole.
Right.
thing behind it.
Right.
Right, yep.
Is there a difference between,
Typically, I measure the-
you measure the overall, is that the way it's done?
So I do it consistently for, because you could say the same thing about.
What is the question?
You could say the same thing about the monument site, that, you know, part of it is the frame, you know.
Right,
I measure width by it.
right. So that'd be 25. Then here is 4 feet. And I'll call it 4 feet 4. $16. The 89. John? We've taken the DG,
Cause it will be full.
right? I got 25 square feet. I've taken this width of 3 feet with this length of 16 feet. Thirty-eight and 25. It's 73.
I base my dimension on what I base my dimension on. If you want to change that.
Right. Right, that would be up to us to. Cause like I said, if you go 22 by 5,
Yeah,
right,
I'm
that'd be
just.
100 and
their-
something,
Their drawing here does not show
right,
that it's a whole back, so
right,
that's all I'm just saying.
right. So I guess we'd have to determine. Is it the whole square block, or do we take the height of these letters? Well, which is 4-4, I'll go with that one, because the T in
The
that's
K,
higher,
yeah,
you know,
take the
they're,
highest.
so we'll take the high one,
High
so
ones.
4-4. In the 25, it's 89. And they're allowed 75.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't
Right.
think they're that far off
Right.
what is exactly needed.
So
As it's looking.
we'll have to determine that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I think that's the way.
yeah,
I
because
like
if
that.
that's the case, they're only looking for 14 feet.
Yeah.
Difference.
My only request, Chairman, would be that if you do that in that fashion, just make a note that
Yes,
that dimension was based on board determination.
Correct.
I wrote up.
correct, right, yeah. Because what I'll do tomorrow is, I'll actually get into that sign code, because there's A and there's B and there's C charts, and actually it tells you,
This has to be for the wall sign.
right, this is for the wall sign. You know, because it's be like a canopy. Okay, if it has the gas name on it, is it the whole canopy or is it just the name, you know?
You would have to use chart C for the wall.
Chart
sign.
C, right, yep. Yeah, I'm sorry,
Say that again.
A seeker, the
Oh.
seeker.
no, okay, let me, the planning board will be the lead agent on the seeker. Okay, that'll be up to them. I mean, yeah, a seeker has to be done, but the planning board will take the lead on that. Okay. So with that being said, and now we have some more information. I'll table a decision until next month.
Sorry, I lost connection for a few minutes. I heard something related to the seeker. Is this related to the vote today? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, the seeker, will be the planning board will take the lead on the seeker.
Right. That would be for site plan approval, correct?
That'd be before planning board approval, correct?
Right.
Yeah, you have to come up to so we can hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just asking what it was breaking up a little bit, and I heard some reference to the seeker. I didn't know if you guys were saying that we need the seeker going through first before we take a vote. That's what I thought you guys were saying.
Oh, no, the planning board will take the lead on the seeker.
Correct, yes.
Yep,
Just a point of process, the public hearings.
right.
It's just the next part. Most of the community hasn't seen any of the paperwork, and the pictures that you're looking at, is that possible before?
I believe you can come to the town hall and Marjorie will show them to you. Yes, all the paperwork that we have.
Yep.
Okay. That'll be next month. The next on the agenda is,
Wait, if you don't mind, before we move on, what is next on the month? Next month?
April,
April 17th.
yep,
Is that when the zoning board is trying to make a decision by, or is that what you're saying? Or
there, you will have a decision on April 17th.
Okay.
oh, gotcha. Okay, perfect.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, and you guys can go ahead and sign off if you want.
Okay. You have a good
Thank you
evening.
so much. Appreciate it, guys.
Okay,
Thank you.
we'll be in touch.
All right.
All right, bye.
Much paperwork. Next month, on April 17th, we'll have a review of application 2025-2Z from Rush Solar Farm 1 LLC. From the application of 022-07P of the planning board at 540 Honey Falls, number 6 road. Richland Resource Properties. And they're looking for,
Cheaters,
no,
because I couldn't, that was so small, I can't believe how small that reading was.
oh, I cried a blues. This one is from here to 3 feet, and this one's from 3 feet out, so.
Did you read it, Lee?
Yep,
You want me to read it out loud?
I'm looking to see what they're looking for.
They want.
They
to
want
do
it, they want,
feet instead of foot trees instead of
Yeah.
14.
Yes.
right,
That's what they want.
yep.
Because all their 14-foot
Yep,
trees,
14-foot trees planted
they all
in
died.
the fall, they're all dead. And I did have there is in here maps of the farm. And they have, I think I read, they have from a bunch of arbors or horticulturists.
Yeah.
Landscape.
Yeah.
Yep.
Showing the effects and the problems with it. With the requirement of these. And from what I read, I could be wrong, but from what I read, they don't want total relief. They just want from relief from the pine tree. I thought that's what I read someplace.
Well, they had other types of trees they
Yeah.
wanted to plant.
Yeah,
But
yeah, a proposed alternates for poorly drained areas such as they have up there. You know, cypress, pine, certain pines, red pine, larch, sycamore, willow, pin oak. Yeah, so they weren't looking for, you know, total relief of it. This is the one on number 6 and 15.
mhm.
You know. Even
I drove past it today.
on 15. When you drive up through, and if those are 14-foot high trees, I don't know the exact elevation. I was gonna look at that today and tonight, maybe when I looked the charts back to shop. Was the height of the road versus the height here. And yeah. Cause 14-foot high, they look like 5-footers compared to the solar. They don't, you know, you're so
Well,
much higher, you're looking right
Supposed to
over
be a
top.
7-foot chain link fence.
Yeah.
Around it, but the trees don't look. No.
No, but even if they are 14, you're looking right over the top of them, you know. And then here, this is all woods and stuff.
It says in addition, in the secluded northwest part of the site, we would like to request approval to plant no trees or to plant alternative trees, species
That would be in this
Mhm.
section
in where
here.
the
'Cause-
previous
yeah, 'cause
variety
this
of
is all
trees were
woods here,
unable to survive.
backs off to sea lots.
Cause this is what you see from 15.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you go over the expressway and
Expressway,
stuff and
yep,
look, this is
yep.
what you see. But this is where Woodruff Road is, you don't see
Yeah,
here.
right, because.
But the only place you do would be right about in here. Go past
Yeah, 'cause it's
Andy,
set back.
go past Andy and Janine's, there's a
Mhm.
crest there. And then you can see part of it. But yeah, you can't see anything from this way or this way. Yeah, then the expressway runs up through. I know I did one time, I talked to Josh Landscaping about it, you know. He wasn't sure, but he thought a lot of those trees were brought in from out of state and stuff. So now you got invasive stuff coming in, you know. And what he was saying was that he said he'd be happy to come and talk with us too. Was that, yeah, 4 or 5-footers they can plant and will survive, but 14s, he said they just won't, you know. But there's a lot of alternatives too. I know when I go to Geneva, I go the back way on north and you go through Cornell back there. And they mow this willow. And I swear it grows a foot a week. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what kind of willow it is, but yeah.
Well, I also, yeah, I read through this.
Oh.
Got my jacket early.
Oh,
And,
cheater.
yeah, I did read through this and it sounds like the person who planted it you know,
Yeah.
there's wires,
ball,
stuff, Priscilla, and
ball,
it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so they didn't, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I know I saw part of that, and part of it too is I've asked the question before when they're planting bulb trees, why they don't take off the wire.
Yeah.
And stuff. They said because the roots are already part of it, and if you don't hold it together, it won't stay together
won't
in the
stay.
ground. He said, and it'll grow around, and I've dug trees up with wire on it, but part I don't get is the burlap, you know. Something ought to be, it ought to at least tear that, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
especially when they're so big.
New transplants like that, you gotta water the crap out of them.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
But don't let them sit in a pond,
No, that's it.
like,
Gotta be-
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like some of those pictures.
Yeah, some of those pictures, I was like,
Okay, so I will check on chart C, and I'll see if I can find anything on how they measure and whatnot for the front side. And it's attached to the building. It's not a, from what I see here, it's not a separate board or all on one board where they put it up, so. Anyways, I'll check on that and, we can do some more research on the rest of it, and then we'll make a decision, discuss and make a decision in April.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll have this one here, a
Yes.
representative will be here for the solar farm. And we'll go through that then. Okey dokey,
Already
I make a motion to close the meeting.
made a second.
Okay, member Fruit.
Aye.
Member Marlowe. Aye. Member Gerbino.
Aye.
And Chairman Hedrick.
Aye, and you want to thank him for.
I'm gone.
Oh, okay. All right, I want to thank everybody.